Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Capitalism Ruins Literally Everything. And today on my platter is that god-awful bird app. No, not that bird app, that bird app. Yeah, if you're like me, the only thing you enjoy more than wasting your life away on your phone is wasting your life away on your phone, but in French. Because I'm an OG Duolingo power user. I've got almost an 1,000-day streak on Duolingo French, and I swear this video was not just an excuse to flex that fact. And I know what you're thinking, 1,000 days in, how much French do you know, Mark? Oui? Alright, it's not that bad, but it is pretty bad. Let's be honest, trying to learn a language with Duolingo is like trying to learn how to play guitar with Guitar Hero. It is pretty close to being that stupid. But the problem is it's somehow getting worse, not better, because a couple weeks ago, the CEO of Duolingo took to Twitter for Losers, aka LinkedIn, to post an internal email he had sent to his staff declaring Duolingo was now an AI-first company. And we'll get to that incredibly stupid email and the hilarious backlash to it. But first, I just want to air out my various other grievances with Duolingo, because let's be honest, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my poorly researched hot takes. And I have the right to complain, because I've been forking over $120 a year for the last 4 years to this husk of a corporation for a super Duolingo family plan. I've lived the slow decline of this app for years now, and still I let this fucking green bird come to my house, break my kneecaps, and basically rob me every year. Also, I can microdose French lessons while taking a shit. And that is all Duolingo is good for. We need to accept that fact. I know there are some Duolingo maxers out there who have learned High Valyrian or whatever else, using only Duolingo, and are now 100% prepared for their girl's trip to Westeros. But that is going to be like 0.1% of Duolingo users. The vast majority of people are opening the app once or twice a day. When they're on the subway, or on break, or in the bathroom, they'll do a couple lessons a day, keep up on their streak, and keep it moving. You will be shocked to know that an app that includes concepts like weekly leaderboards and XP doesn't actually care about your fluency in Spanish. If you're actually willing to sit down for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour a day in order to try and learn a language, you shouldn't be doing it with Duolingo. There are a million other far more substantive language apps, language courses, or even better if you can afford it, actual classes. And I can attest to this because when I was super duper unemployed, as opposed to just regular unemployed like I am now, I actually tried doing French classes. I did the Lingoda language sprint, which if you follow any language teachers on YouTube, you've probably seen a sponsored ad read for. It's basically just live small group classes with up to 5 students with native teachers, and the language sprint is a monthly promotion they do, where if you actually show up to every single one of your classes, you get half of your money back at the end of the month. It used to be all your money back, to be fair, but then they changed it because too many people were doing it, and now I think they made the sprint harder and longer in that you now have to do it for 2 months. Which sucks, but again, it was worth it in my experience. And they're not paying me to say that, but I wish they would, because honestly, I learned more French in a month of doing Lingoda than I learned in like 2 years of doing Duolingo. And I'm not trying to act like one of these big brain language snobs who's acting like the sage of Swahili because they've discovered the fact that Duolingo is a gamified nightmare. Yes, it is an obvious fact. Duolingo is super gamified. It's supposed to be that. I understand that. Like, I'm not expecting something that sits on my phone next to DoorDash and Subway Surfers to teach me how to be fluent in Klingon in 3 months. But I'm just bringing it up because there are actually people who have done Duolingo for years only to travel to a country that speaks the language that they've been trying to learn and not be able to literally do or say anything.
Hola, me llamo Alice. Hola, me llamo Sally. Tengo un gato. Un gato muy bonita. Tengo una abuela. Mi abuela es
Like people who spent years on Duolingo Mandarin only to travel to China and not be able to ask a simple question like, where can I find Tiananmen Square? Or even better, to ask a local police officer, what happened in Tiananmen Square in 1989? And that was not a joke. You should definitely go to China and ask those questions. They really appreciate people who are interested in their culture. But if you've ever used Duolingo, you get my point. This teaches hyper-specific sentences that are going to be completely useless to the average person, or at least difficult for the average person to retain without context. Here's a couple examples of these wacky-ass sentences. The bride is a woman and the groom is a hedgehog. Okay, well, I know it's 2025, But unless there's some freak going down in Finland that I don't know about, why would someone learning Finnish need to know that? The man eats ice cream with mustard. Okay, well that's a cry for help, if I've ever seen one. But again, not really gonna help anyone in their language learning journey. And if there is one thing you can say about these sentences, is it kind of explains the AI path that the company wants to go down, because these already sound like something ChatGPT would spit out. But again, we'll get there. On the gamification of Duolingo though, I think the problem most people have with it is not that it's gamified, but that it's getting worse. Granted, I may just be here to XP farm, to get to the top of my weekly leaderboard, to do my friend quests, but it's still my intention to at least try and learn something along the way. But over time, Duolingo has made this app more and more progressively useless in terms of actual language learning. One of the most significant changes was in 2022. They replaced the skill tree model with this learning path. So instead of having some choice in what you wanted to learn, with clearly defined topics that you can later go back to and practice, everything now proceeds along a linear learning path. Stories, which used to be in a separate tab, are now also woven into the path. And the learning path is great if you want to think of this as a video game in which you're constantly leveling up. But if you actually want to learn something, you can go yourself, because good luck trying to go back into your learning path and find something to review or to go and practice a particular skill that you feel weak on. All you have is the golden path. The path is love, the path is life. Want to review the subjunctive tense, but the next lesson on your path is how to talk about chores? Well then get on your hands and knees, bitch, because it's a hard knock life and we're learning how to clean the fireplace in French. And even though the unit names are now hyper specific with the path model, they're also just like wrong. The last unit I did was describe a bad vacation. And here are a few of the key examples from that unit. We will take a walk on the beach after dinner. Okay, romantic walk on the beach doesn't really seem bad to me. I don't walk my dog, it's him who walks me. Well, that's endearing, and I'm glad the dog got to go on vacation. I had just put your brother to bed, you woke him up. Okay, again, vaguely bad, but not really having to do with vacation. Again, these sentences are fine, sure, but if you ever wanted to review any of these, how would you ever know to find these filed under describe a bad vacation? Like, let's be honest, I have a better chance of becoming the president of France than I do of ever being able to find the unit that has the sentence about the dog who walks its owner. And here's another removed feature. There used to be this thing called sentence discussions, which were also removed in 2022, which in hindsight might have been the year Duolingo turned to the dark side. But sentence discussions were essentially a community tab on exercises where other learners could discuss amongst themselves the sentence. People could help each other out, they could explain nuances in the language, and we could also make fun of Duolingo when they made a sentence that's weird or just sometimes straight up wrong. Which to this day, even with Duolingo being a $20+ billion corporation, there are still mistakes in lessons. And often. How would you like a random Arabic character in your French course? Or how about this? Did you know that sometimes I study with this app in Italian is actually just A? I mean, I guess I should switch to learning Italian because that looks a lot easier than the passé composé. But with sentence discussion, users were able to call these problems out, and oftentimes Duolingo would fix them. And of course, this incredible community-based feature, which helped everyone learn, had to be removed because the corporate sacks of shit at Duolingo had a problem. And the problem was Duolingo Max, the new super extra premium subscription, which for a family plan is now up to $20 a month. And one of the main benefits of Duolingo Max, and it's heavy on the sarcasm there, is that you can now get an AI chatbot to explain a sentence to you, to explain what you did wrong. So of course the free, reliable help you could get from other human members of the community now had to be replaced with the paid, unreliable help of an AI chatbot. And isn't that lovely? Isn't that just a metaphor for capitalism? Something you used to get for free for a human, now you can pay money for to get a shittier version of from AI. And the in-app ads for Duolingo Max are inescapable. Literally 2 of the 5 buttons on my home screen, the video call and super buttons, are literally just ads for Duolingo Max. And yeah, that's basically the only other feature this Max thing adds. This fake video call thing where you can have terrible speaking conversations with an AI that has no idea if you're pronouncing anything right.
Qué bien. Las clases de español son divertidas o aburridas.
Mis clases siempre son divertidas.
Genial.
Here, let me do a speaking exercise right now live, and you can be a judge of Duolingo's speaking practice.
Il faut qu'il puisse nous envoyer le devoir.
Il faut qu'ils puissent nous envoyer le devoir. That was correct. You can't see it. It says correct. Nice. I don't know why I went with an Alabama accent there, but you get my point. And another thing with this Pepsi Max bullshit is they also put ads for Pepsi Max in your actual learning path. They put these video calls, which I haven't paid for, in the learning path, so 2 to 3 times per unit, I have to acknowledge that I'm a brokey who isn't willing to pay $20 a month for Duolingo. Like, sorry, I thought I was already in first class with Super Duolingo, but apparently that's Duolingo Max. I'm actually sitting in seat 33B, and I guess the free Duolingo users we just shoved underneath the plane. And listen to me, again, if I was actually learning something, I'm willing to pay $20 a month for that. I already told you I thought Lingoda was worth it, and that was like $150 for the month. But everything about how Duolingo has evolved over the last few years tells me that they don't want to be a language learning app, they want to be Temple Run. And I'm not paying $20 or even $10 a month for Temple Run. Like, where's all my money going? You're not adding new lessons, you're not improving your courses, you're not adding new features for advanced learners, you're adding chess to Duolingo, which is great, but what am I going to do with that? I don't want to play chess. I don't want to know chess. I don't want to know math. Math is for losers. I need to know French, so that way I can be pretentious when I'm 50. That is what I'm here for. But if all you want to do is try and squeeze as much money out of me as possible while teaching me as little as possible, I'm out. And so let's get into the controversy that's been stewing with Duolingo over the last couple of weeks. Duolingo, on their official LinkedIn account, shared this internal email from CEO Louis von Ahn, who looks like he's in a polycule that only keeps him around because he does all the chores. And in the email, Louis goes on and on about how Duolingo is now going to be an AI-first company. Specifically, he says, one of the best decisions we made recently was replacing a slow, manual content creation process with one powered by AI. Without AI, it would take us decades to scale our content to more learners. We owe it to our learners to get them this content ASAP. Now, thankfully, I don't need Duolingo to be able to translate this, because I'm already fluent in corporate bullshitties. Essentially, Duolingo used AI to generate a ton of lessons, launching 148 new courses with this announcement alone. And Louis is framing this as a good thing, because instead of needing, humans with actual language skills in order to create this course material, they just plugged that into ChatGPT. And as we all know, generative AI is 100% reliable with no kinks whatsoever.
It's touch Baslet, it's touch Baslet, it's touch Baslet, it's touch Baslet, it's touch Baslet.
And besides turning this app into a vaguely infuriating human-made slopfest into a completely infuriating AI-made slopfest, what other things can we look forward to from Louis? We'll gradually stop using contractors to do work that AI can handle. AI use will be part of what we look for in hiring. AI use will be part of what we evaluate in performance reviews. Headcount will only be given if a team cannot automate more of their work. All of this said, Duolingo will remain a company that cares deeply about its employees. Oh, well, that's good. See, the part where you had said you were going to be replacing your contractors with AI and forcing your teams to automate as much as possible made me think that you did not care about your employees. So I'm glad you clarified that. And truly wonderful is the mind of a soulless suit, because Louis actually thought that this would be a good look. He thought this email was so fire that it needed to be shared publicly on LinkedIn. Remember, they could have continued to use AI in the background, slowly replace all their content with new stuff generated by AI, start quietly laying off employees, and nobody would have been the wiser. But because these corporate shills only think about things in terms of what will excite Wall Street, and nothing excites Wall Street now, like the letters A and I, Louis committed a generational bag fumble, and all for LinkedIn clout. And the reaction on TikTok just says it all. People just throwing in the towel on their 1,000-day streaks, on their 5-year-long streaks. People asking fair questions, like if your end game is to replace all your employees with AI, then why does my subscription price keep going up?
They said, and we finna add a couple extra dollars to that payment. Absolutely the fuck not. Who the fuck do y'all think y'all are? If we wasn't deleting y'all's app before, we're definitely deleting it now. I'm not paying that. I'm not paying. And you replaced the entire staff with robots. Why is the price going up?
Truly, unless your AI workers have 3 kids and a mortgage, I'm not paying for what will ultimately be a windfall for your CEO and a catastrophe for the quality of your app and the livelihoods of the Duolingo workforce. Literally just got a Duolingo notification. There's no escape. I am not kidding. We need to hunt the Duolingo bird. This thing needs to be barbecued. AI does not understand nuance. It does not understand culture. I do not want to learn French from an algorithm. You are somehow removing what little soul was left in this app, and the damage control is not going to do anything. Because of course, after this whole thing blew up in his face, Lewis had to trot himself out onto television and basically just reiterate what his email said and not walk anything back.
Employees. I mean, we're a company that really cares about our employees. I think there was some misunderstanding. This basically, I sent an email, an internal email, and there was some misunderstanding. What we said is that whenever there is some job that can be done by AI, and it can be done really well, then we're unlikely to hire contractors to do that job.
Yeah, literally just sounds like he was reading off the email, including the part about how much he cares about his employees, which it's hilarious that he needs to reference his talking points on that issue. So if I'm asked about my employees, what do I say about that? You say that you care about them. Do I really care about them? Yes, you really care about them. No, I'm asking, do I really care about them? And that right there is a joke, including a play on the English language that an AI would not be able to understand. Duolingo also came out a few days ago with an obvious attempt to distract with this new announcement that they're replacing hearts with energy. Essentially, for free Duolingo users, it works on a heart system where if you get one wrong, you lose a heart, and then eventually you run out of hearts for the day, and you have to wait till regenerate them the next day or watch ads, I think. But now instead of hearts, it's energy, which regenerates at a randomized rate, which is awesome. And also you can get some back by doing enough lessons correctly in a row. In the words of Duolingo, we wanted to find a way to gamify the experience a little more. Yes, if there's one problem that everybody had with Duolingo, it's that it's not gamified enough. Thanks for that, guys. I'm sure this will stem the negative press. Oh, and one last thing I need to air out, because one thing I do appreciate about this controversy is that it achieved the impossible, which is finally getting the Duolingo social media team to shut the f up. In case you're not aware, Duolingo has this super in brand persona and hops on every social media trend, no matter how fleeting. And my god, I hate brand personas in general with a burning passion. I do not know who started it. I don't know if it was Wendy's, but I do not want to see your soulless corporation chopping it up in the TikTok comment section. I do not want a snarky tweet from my airline. Stop it. I still remember the day that Burger King tweeted, "Women belong in the kitchen," in the dumbest, most low IQ attempt at social commentary I've ever seen in my life. And I just wish we could extend the backlash that happened to that tweet to literally every attempt that a company makes to foster a brand persona. And with Duolingo being one of the worst offenders, it truly warms my heart to see every single TikTok they post now being filled in the comment section with people just writing, "Did AI make this?" Because you know what? That's fair. For the last god knows how many years, the Duolingo TikTok account was on every trend in every person's comment section. And now all of a sudden they're super quiet. They're just posting their TikToks, keeping to themselves, knowing that if they comment on anything, they're gonna get brutally ratioed. What happened to all that energy, Duo? Where's the energy you have in those constantly annoying, vaguely threatening streak notifications? And when they did the whole Duo has died shtick in order to advertise Duolingo Max, I mean, people loved it. People loved it, which is why I'm glad that they f***ed up with this AI announcement so bad, because up until a few weeks ago, hating on this marketing was like a class 1 felony on the internet. Not anymore though, it's open season now, and we're going bird hunting. The official Duolingo TikTok account has lost hundreds of thousands of followers, and hopefully there's more to come. And at the end of the day, I don't hate Duolingo now, I just hate what it's becoming. All we wanted was a gamey, fun way to practice your language with a few social elements, and that's it. We wanted better lessons, more lessons, better stories, things to supplement the main path. And instead what we're getting is this rapidly slopifying everything learning app, which will probably add AI generated cooking lessons before adding additional content to like the Spanish course. And you know what, that's great, but I for one am not financing this foray into AI slopland. You want to fire all your employees and have everything made by ChatGPT? Go off. But then why would I pay you for that? Already on the Duolingo subreddit, some absolute Chad has made his own version of Duolingo using ChatGPT generated lessons. A Duolingo, if you will. And I'm sure if he was to release it publicly, he would be visited in the night by a Duolingo hit squad. But the point is that the technology is already there. If I can just ask ChatGPT to make me a French lesson or a French course, why would I pay Duolingo $20 a month for the same thing. They should be leaning into the human side. Duolingo should be screaming from the rooftops that we're a human-centric app, that we're about community, that language learning is all about community, and that's what this app is all about. But instead, Lewis is going in the direction that will almost certainly destroy his company, and all to chase a short-term buck. Many such cases in capitalism, though. I mean, what can I say? I'm not gonna lie though, I'm still going for that 1,000-day streak. I'm a fiend whose only fix is that Duolingo correct sound effect. But I'm done paying for this. I'll be fluent in Norwegian before I renew my Duolingo subscription, because this green bird has me finally f***ed up. To be clear, if I see this bird on the streets, he's not the one who's gonna be giving the lesson. My French may not be the best, but my hands are multilingual. Until then though guys, I'm late for my French class, and by late for my French class, I mean I've got a double XP boost that's about to run out.